Shalom. Shalom, shalom, family. How is everyone on this Thursday, March 13th? I am your Sistah ChaYah. It's good to see you all. Welcome to the Melchizedek Network for this special Melchizedek news weather emergency, because we have a lot developing around the country in regards to severe weather alerts. So it's important that I get on here and reiterate how serious of a situation that many states are facing in regards to these storms that are even hitting right now. And man, it's a time to be vigilant. It's a time to prepare. It is a time to make sure you have your spiritual house in order, not just your physical, because some things you do not have control over. You know, when the storm is at the door, a lot of people may need to leave their homes. Shalom there, Aesir, in the live chat for this special weather warning. This is a situation that is developing. This will affect numerous states over the next few days. As I got on this morning, I was just finishing up talking to some brothers and sisters in the live chat for the message that I just brung about regarding Revelation 6 and 8. So for those of you who didn't get an opportunity, there's a link in the description. I will include it here as well, of the words of the day. Very profound understanding, and we need all of the clarification and understanding that we can get in this hour. So I did a lot of breakdown on the symbolism in Revelation 6 and 8. So do check that out when you get a chance. I am also finishing the lesson that I'm going to be bringing forth in the next few days in regards to, so you're ready for the kingdom, huh? Understanding equality versus inequality. So make sure you keep your notifications clicked so you can be aware when that goes live, because it will be some powerful edification, brothers and sisters. But right now, I want to talk about this weather situation. And a scripture came to mind overnight to my spirit as I see these things with the weather and what's developing. And I want to share with you what I was thinking. I was thinking about Isaiah 26 and 20 that says, "Come, my people, enter into thy chambers." And this is spiritual, because it's telling us to come into that secret place of prayer. Come spend some intimate, private time with the Most High. Shut your doors behind you, okay? Hide yourselves. That's right. Come away from this world and what's going on with this world. Get close to the Father right now, as it were, for a little moment until the indignation is past. You know, the word a lot of times is twofold. There's a spiritual meaning that's usually so much deeper than the physical, but there's also a physical meaning. And right here we have twofold with Isaiah. He's explaining about the spiritual, about coming close and getting to, coming to that private place, that chamber inside that spirit with the Father. But it's also stating that when we see these calamities coming up on this earth, it's time for us to come indoors, get quiet. That's right. Come into a quiet place. Let this indignation pass. And these storms are serious. And so it's a time to prepare yourself and come indoors. Not the time to be, all out here on vacations and so forth. Hallelujah. Good to see you, Sister Ola. I'm going to start with Fox. I want to show you, brothers and sisters, right now, currently situation on the West Coast, because what's going on in the West is also affecting what's going to be happening and carrying about the rest of the country. They already have evacuation orders over in California. So I'm going to share all this information with you with this weather emergency, because I just really want to make it clear that this is a serious situation right now. and that it's going to get worse over the next few days for many states. As you even see there on the screen, those are areas that are in direct bullseyes. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Midwest, you see that for tomorrow. We're talking the next 24 hours. Saturday, moving over. So many states in the bullseye for this. Let's go over to Fox right now and get some information about these evacuation orders that are going on in California. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is the Melchizedek Network, the network that represents for the King of Kings. That's right, the true Messiah. And I am your Sistah ChaYah. I ask that you click the like button, like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is a great channel to be a part of. It's all about peace, love, unity, and respect for all people over here. Hallelujah. Let's go over to Fox, you all.
I've got one that can see.
You doggone right you do.
A flood watch remains in effect for parts of California that were devastated by wildfires earlier this year. The rain along those burn scars has created serious concerns for landslides, with thousands of people ordered to evacuate. I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Carter Evans, who's in Malibu. Carter, no one knows better than you and the folks out in the area what it's like to deal first with the fires and now conditions like this, because your home is in the affected area. So how long are these conditions expected to last, and what are we looking for over the next couple of days?
Well, the good news is it's not supposed to last that long. I think we're going to have, the heavier rain this morning through today, and then it's supposed to ease off tomorrow, and that's certainly good news. But we just don't need any more of this rain right now. Well, we do need rain here in California. We just don't need it right here in these burn scar areas, because if you look up at the mountains here, there's really no vegetation on the hillsides. There's nothing holding that dirt back. And so when you get a really heavy downpour, that water just starts picking up speed downhill and just picking up dirt and mud and debris with it. And that's how you get these debris flows. And there's one actually right up on the street about 3 miles behind me right here in Topanga Canyon.
Well, entire neighborhoods were told to evacuate ahead of that storm to keep people out of the way of those mudslides and debris flows.
I want to get back out to K County's reporter Cara Finstrom, joining us live right now from the border of the evacuation zone in Sierra Madre. We saw the rain coming down in your live shot, and you mentioned the wind as well.
Yeah, it's very chilly out here this morning, kind of getting pelted with the rain because of that wind. But I want to show you this. Take a look at some of the mud that we already see coming down, very dirty water in the midst of the street. This is an area that flooded back in February when we got that heavy rainfall at that time. And yesterday, the city urged people in a number of foothill areas to the north of here, right beneath that burn scar, to leave before the rain started. A big part of the concern, debris coming down and filling up basins and the Sierra Madre Dam. Let's give you a look at some time-lapse video from what's called the Sierra Madre Canyon Cam overnight. It shows...
Family, you notice that's in the fire zone. These fires, we're only in March. Fires in California that occurred in January. These same areas now are dealing with mudslides, landslides, because these heavy rains in California. They're trying to downplay the fact that there are evacuation orders in many areas. It's an atmospheric storm, that's passing through there. And then on top of that, we got heavy snow that's moving over the plains. Hold on a second. I'm going to try to see. Yeah, let me show you this footage here.
We're back here on Weather Command. Welcome inside. Well, parts of Los Angeles County and San Diego already smacked with flooding this week, and rain this morning. It continues to fall with an atmospheric river moving through from Southern California to Northern California. We've already seen and even heard the impacts. Some wild winds and rain on Wednesday in San Francisco. The rain not slowing down anytime soon, because that atmospheric river, as it was spraying Northern California, Central California, it moved overnight into SoCal. And we still have a system that has to move ashore. And as that does, we're going to get, I guess, smacked, Marissa, as I said, with more of this rain. Here's rain,
snow, flooding. And, they've been talking about this total lunar eclipse, which is affecting, of course, the eclipse also affects, high tides, the weather. But, the world leaders, it seems like seems like a lot of events planned surrounding this total lunar eclipse. Let's get some information. I hope some of the brothers and sisters check out that Revelation 6 and 8, because Sister ChaYah did a breakdown on the spiritual meaning of the blood moon. But let's go over here to Fox and let's see what they're talking about.
All right, lunar lovers wish upon their lucky stars tonight as they look up March's full moon, known as the worm moon, making a dramatic appearance with a total lunar eclipse. We're just a matter of hours away from this, folks, and NASA, down to the minute, knows when the lunar eclipse will reach totality. And for those keeping time, the eclipse begins at 11:57 Eastern Time tonight. So that's Eastern Time, 11:57, 10:57 Central. But sometimes watching a lunar eclipse, it might be like watching paint dry, if you want my honest opinion.
So, family, for those of you that have been paying attention, you have your total lunar eclipse tomorrow. But man, what a busy week, right? We had that big hit that Ukraine did on Russia. Trump is, escalating these tariffs on Canada, other parts of the world. Man, it's just so much going on. These blizzard warnings, snowstorm, tornado, even fire threats, all this coming starting in the next 24 hours. So much, it seems like, at one time, not to mention all the rest of the headlines that I'm not even getting into because this is a weather emergency. Let's talk about the strong winds that are coming to a number of states because mass power outages will occur, brothers and sisters, because of these serious storms. We got some serious winds, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour in a number of states. Strong winds, heavy snow, fire threats, tornado outbreaks, all in the next 24 to 72 hours.
Are going to see, we are monitoring the combinations of some strong winds, 60, 70, 75 miles per hour could lead to near whiteout conditions, blizzard-like impacts across portions of the northern plains, portions of the Midwest. And we've seen this before. We've done this with the last big outbreak that we had on the northern side. We had all of those strong winds. And take a look at what's going on. Now, we don't have a lot in the way of cold air in place, so the snowfall totals won't be as impressive, but we will still see some strong winds. Temperatures dropping to the 30s and 40s right behind. This is come Friday as the system continues to lift on out of here. Then we watch those strong winds blowing the snow around that is on the ground, and that will be a problem there. Now, sunshine's going to melt some of the snow that does fall, Britta, so that is some good news. But behind that, look at how cold.
The bigger deal is the cold and the wind.
Exactly. Look at
the wind field of this storm, we talk about wind field in regards to hurricanes. Same thing with an area of low pressure that's moving its way across the country. It has a wind field. And because the pressure is so low, in response to that pressure change, the winds are going to be nuts, especially on the backside. Strong enough not only to take out power, but the visibility concerns. You don't need any snow to create a ground blizzard. You just need snow on the ground, nothing falling from the sky. Here we could have a combination of both, but a bigger component with the blowing snow creating a visibility concern.
And already worried about travel conditions throughout this area, not just into Friday, but Saturday and Sunday. And that is going to have an impact for many people all the way from North Dakota, clear down into portions of Nebraska and Iowa. Winter weather impacts, as you can see, for the next 3 days. It's going to be moderate risk for the blowing snow. Look at the interstates included in this. And remember, this is going to be for a good time a crosswind for places like Interstate 90. I-29 will be a headwind for you unless you're headed down south. And here's a look at the snow, Britta. It's not a lot, but it's enough with the wind to cause issues for us.
It's not going to be our deficit for the upper Midwest or the northern plains. It will be very cold on the back.
So we got that situation. They keep talking about the winds. This is pretty much the majority of the country is under some type of severe weather alert over the next 24 to 72 hours. Let's get some more in regard to this tornado outbreak, because we're talking severe weather conditions. We're talking about mass power outages. You need to be ready with your plan. Make sure you have what you need for power outages, because power outage situation may leave many without power for days, if not weeks, with what's coming with this severe weather event.
We've got a very busy and potentially dangerous week of weather ahead. Something we've been watching. We've been through one severe weather outbreak already this season. And as we look ahead to all of the energy coming through, I think we need to be all eyes open and conversations beginning right now.
We're keeping a close eye on the eastern half of our country over the next 5 days for storms from Texas to the Carolinas. It all really starts this evening over the Rockies before the system slams across the plains, bringing a multitude of threats to millions of Americans. So what type of impacts will we see from tonight's storm, but also this weekend's storm? Well, you're looking at them. Everything is on the board, even, yes, the threat for wildfire, fueled by the strong winds on the backside of this severe weather system. We will also impact parts of our country with flooding, hail, and yes, the threat of tornadoes. So here's the overview. We have powerful weather systems that have been hitting the West Coast. A big impact for our West Coast viewers, most of which are asleep right now. But as those weather systems hop over the Rockies, they take shape into a severe weather outbreak, really. We'll have a taste of it today, but the weather system that's going to be impacting the West Coast today will end up being a severe weather outbreak for a good chunk of America as we go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
You see all the area that's highlighted in red on the back side of that. There is some cold air, enough for some snow, not a lot, but some, but also the winds will be a major concern. This takes us into Saturday and into Sunday, where the outlook is 3 out of 4 at this point for Friday and Saturday. And Britta, going into Sunday, we see that over portions of the Carolinas as well. As we continue to watch this, it's one of those weekends where you think about this. You've got to make sure you've got your plan in place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with the progression of this moving through. Everything is on the table. Let's begin, because look at the storm threat for Friday. You talked about some areas all the way from Chicago, or south of Chicago, rather, portions of Illinois into Arkansas. And now for Saturday's threat, new information coming in from the Storm Prediction Center. New Orleans is now in that level 3 threat. Saturday or Sunday, you can see how it extends all the way into portions of the mid-Atlantic and into the southeast.
Yeah, they've pushed that level 3 zone a little bit farther to the south, closer to the I-10 corridor and the Gulf Coast. Now, this is the same weather system that we'll be tracking for 3 days. So as it progresses across the country, it drags that severe weather potential. Right now, this weather system is hitting the West Coast. It's producing a flood threat in Southern California. And as it hops over the Rockies, the jet stream is going to position itself in a way that increases the odds of severe weather. It's the optimal position for a jet stream to create an outbreak. So this is part of the recipe that we're looking at that is going to lead to the severe weather that really takes 3 days to cross from Texas all the way to the East Coast.
And how about this? There's plenty of energy to work with, plenty of moisture. It's coming with a ton of moisture off the Pacific. Then by the time it gets over the plains, starts to pump in the moisture, that warm moisture in from the Gulf. You've got the warm front in place, but also a dry line. And the dry line acts as a lifting mechanism. Oftentimes we'll watch with the dry line where the winds are converging, some lift, and with that lift we may get some isolated cells ahead of that, which sometimes are more dangerous because they gobble up all of the energy. They can produce some severe weather, including rotation. All of the ingredients, Britta, are in place. We've been talking about this. What do we need? Well, number one, rising air. We've got that with converging winds plus the jet stream, and then we've got some change in wind direction with elevation from the ground all the way up to 10,000 feet. Look at the southerly flow from the south, and then with right in that warm sector, you've got some strong winds coming in from the west-southwest, so almost perpendicular in some spots, and that's where you'll watch for these twisting thunderstorms.
We have plenty of storm energy, and keep in mind we're having record-breaking highs across the country, and so that's part of it. Heat is energy, and when you have all that energy bundled up, the thunderstorms can tap into that and use it to create severe weather. Moisture, it is creeping its way far up to the north. To have dew points, which is how we measure the moisture in the atmosphere, in the upper 50s, as far north as northern Illinois, that's a lot of juice. So that also will lead to powerful thunderstorms. The more moisture in a thunderstorm, the heavier the rain, and you'll have more components for severe weather.
heat holds moisture.
That's
and
why
you
the
think
risk goes
about,
all the way up to Chicago on Friday.
Right.
It hangs a little bit farther to the south as we progress through the event, but Friday, it is a widespread. I mean, it goes from the upper Midwest down to the Gulf Coast.
major cities, small towns, all included within this area. Then you look ahead to Saturday, and you talk about New Orleans, some major cities here, Montgomery, Atlanta, Georgia, a big city here. And then on the northern side, because of all that moisture that's far north, it continues over portions of the lower Great Lakes. So that's for Saturday. And this is early on. There may even be some upgrades to some of these outlooks.
There will also be a widespread wind potential here. That's been a theme of 2025. All of our weather systems that have crossed our country not only have posed the threat of severe weather from time to time, but really the synoptic or the large-scale wind pattern that's just evident with the storm itself is a problem. We're going to have wild winds through Chicago, all the way through Cleveland, and that can lead to some airline disruptions. And also a strong burst of straight-line winds can cause some isolated damage as well.
For sure. Any little bit of snow that we get will also be blowing around, which brings visibility down, and we know what that can do in those crosswinds, which we saw with the last storm, is a concern for big rigs, semis, high-profile vehicles, and this is typically where we do see this type of event. So we watch this closely with you. The wind gusts, take a look at this real quick here, picking up. And across the south, Britta, this is where we've got the chance for blowing dust and fire concerns for low humidity and strong winds.
All right, family, that was a complete forecast from Fox Weather. Notice they even said about flights. There's going to be thousands of flights that are going to be canceled over the next 24 to 72 hours in regard to this severe weather threat. For those that are watching, you saw that this is going to affect the majority of the USA. I mean, I don't think there's really not a state that's not under some type of weather threat with this event. From the West Coast dealing with the flooding situation that they are having, to the blizzard conditions through the plains, through the Midwest, they're calling for severe tornado outbreaks in the South, Southeast. How about the winds? They are very concerned about the high winds. That's going to leave massive power outages. So you need to prepare now and have your emergency plan in effect. Not getting ready. You need to be ready right now. Power outages will occur, and there will be massive power outages because of these high winds. But the tornado threat is very severe. This will move through the Southeast. They said going as south as New Orleans, Atlanta, moving towards the East Coast, Southeast, Virginia, all the way. So many states under this severe weather. Notice they mention about wildfires. They are concerned about wildfires, and many people have been seeing these outbreaks of wildfires just all of a sudden. Just look what happened in Long Island just last week, just out of nowhere. So there is a tremendous fire threat for a number of states. I'm going to try to, and I hope that it can play, I'm going to try to play this video from over at Max Velocity. It's one of my favorite weather channels, as well as Nate Snyder. But let me see if I can get this video to play, because he put it out this morning. Let me try to load it up for you, family. I want you to see this.
Storm system is coming to the United States over the next few days, and this will bring a ton of problems, including a risk for a severe weather outbreak, which includes damaging winds, large hail, tornadoes, and some tornadoes could even be strong. There will also be a major fire risk that comes out of this big storm system, and there's also a potential for a blizzard. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down everything that you need to know about this storm system that is coming to the United States. We'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And the good news for right now is that things are looking relatively quiet. Not really much happening right now in the Great Plains or along the East Coast. Really, the only area that has any activity is back over along the West Coast, where we are anticipating a lot of snow and rain today. And this storm is what's going to bring the threat for a severe weather outbreak on both Friday and Saturday in the Great Plains and even back into parts of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Southeast. Now let's talk more about the severe weather potential over the next few days, and we'll begin with today, which we actually have a slight risk risk of severe weather in place across parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana, where we are expecting at least a couple of storms to fire off tonight that could produce some significant hail and even maybe an isolated tornado or two. Notice that the Storm Prediction Center has actually put in a hatched risk for large hail this evening, which does indicate that we could see a couple of storms that produce hail as large as the size of tennis balls. So make sure that you are protecting your vehicle. The tornado risk is conditional, but we may see an isolated tornado. And if for some reason there's a storm that looks like it's about to drop a tornado, we will be live later today. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. This threat is mainly going to be from about I-35 and eastbound, but I really think this is the corridor where our greatest tornado risk is going to end up lying, which means the Dallas-Fort Worth area probably not going to see much of a tornado risk. I think it'll be more than anything if you see something, large hail. Now, as we go into Friday, we are talking about a very concerning setup. The risk of severe weather is literally massive. This is one of the biggest severe weather risk areas that you will ever see. We have a marginal risk that extends from almost central Minnesota back to the Gulf Coast. We now have an enhanced risk of severe weather in place, which now includes most of Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Missouri, and as well as Iowa. And I do think that there is going to be room for an upgrade of severe weather down the road. I would not rule out a moderate risk of severe weather, but here's the thing. I think Friday is going to be a bit different than Saturday. I think on Friday, we're going to be dealing with more of a Boeing segment of storms back over in the Midwest that'll produce damaging winds and embedded tornadoes in a line of thunderstorms. We may end up seeing a couple of discrete supercells initially, or even as we go into the overnight hours here across parts of the Midwest or back through the deep south, but it is a little bit more conditional right now. I think we're definitely talking more about a significant wind risk on Friday, but nonetheless, we're still talking about a potential for tornadoes. Now, Saturday has the potential to be a significant severe weather outbreak and even potentially a tornado outbreak. The Storm Prediction Center has already mentioned that there will likely be higher probabilities here for this risk of severe weather, which means a moderate risk and maybe even a high risk of severe weather are going to be in play. But let's talk more about what this exactly means. So right now we have an enhanced risk of severe weather, which again is a 3 out of 5 on the severe weather scale from the Gulf Coast back into
All right, family. So as you heard there, that's the channel Max Velocity Weather. So many threats. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is pretty much a 3-day event, but the after effects of this storm will be felt after. Prepare. That's why I spent the time, because I want to emphasize just on the seriousness of this, and we can probably anticipate a lot of destruction. We've been seeing that these tornadoes are very strong tornadoes. Again, not all the alarms are going off in a lot of counties. They just had a EF2, almost EF3 tornado earlier in the week in Seminole, Florida, Central Florida, that caught many off guard. And it did destructive. A lot of catastrophic damage was done. A lot of people probably didn't see the footage, but it was quite catastrophic to a lot of areas. And so these are strong tornadoes. Anytime they're saying an outbreak, that means back-to-back tornadoes. Also, a lot of those states, particularly Midwest, St. Louis, I have family there. I have family in the Boot Hill, Missouri. You are in the bullseye. I have family in the Chicago area. You are in the bullseye for this moderate threat. It's like a 3, 4 out of 5. So you can anticipate, even they said the hail damage. Come on, we're talking baseball size hail, high winds, tornado outbreaks. So brothers and sisters, take these warnings serious. Prepare now as best you can. True, some things we have no control over. But what I will say is it's the hour to get your physical house in order. But what's most important is your spiritual house. That's the hour that we're living in. This is the time to repent and get serious about your walk with the Most High. A lot of people right now are doubting. A lot of people have lack of faith. A lot of people are lukewarm. They're straddling the fence. one foot in, one foot out with this salvation. You know, I've talked to people right now, they're distracted with all this worldliness and things going on in the world. What's going on with Jay-Z and Diddy and these celebrities or whatever. These are all distractions while this destruction is upon us. So this is an hour to really get serious about your spiritual walk. That's what all this is happening for. It's a reason for everything that is happening in this earth, especially with these severe weather events. They are to humble the heart of mankind. So what maybe mankind will take note with these things that is happening around him, her, and repent and come back home to your heavenly Father. Hallelujah. That's right. Come back to his righteous ways. It's time to love others. It's time to forgive. It's time to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. And these things that are happening, well, they're going to help humble you. And maybe that's what you will do. Because that's what we got to do. So I'll be back probably over the weekend with some more on this as things develop. You know, Brother Yosef and I are here in Maui, Hawaii. We will be praying for all, especially those that are right in this bullseye. I pray you take these warnings serious, family. This is, I have a feeling about this one that it's probably going to be a lot of damage, a lot of catastrophic damage. I pray, you know, that it's not a lot of loss of life because of these storms over the next 24 to 72 hours. So I love you all with real love, real respect. As I leave out of here, always, this is the Melchizedek Network representing for the King. So how about a precept of the day before we leave out? Okay. Always got to give you some spiritual encouragement and words. So let's learn about what controlling others really means. You know, let's learn about the true definition of priestcrafts. Check it out, brothers and sisters, as I leave out.
If we aspire to the honors of men, attempt to cover our sins, try to gratify our pride or vain ambition, or seek to exercise control over others, we lose the priesthood power. From that point, we would be practicing priestcraft. We would have left the service of God and would be putting ourselves in the service of Satan.
Yes. All those having control over other brothers and sisters. That's what priestcrafts are, brothers and sisters. I will see you all this weekend on Sabbath as I prepare to present this message about being ready for the kingdom. Inequality versus equality. I will see you, brothers and sisters, then. And y'all have a good rest of your day. And continue to pray for all, family. Pray for all. Pray for all. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'll talk to you soon, family. Shalom.